Hi friends, it's Sunday and so I have another chalice lighting and story today based on our 7 principles. Today's focus is the 4th principle, the free and responsible search for truth and meaning. Or as we sing in Children's Chapel, for we search for what is true. So I have some chalice lighting words that are special for the 4th principle today. They are some words from Albert Einstein. The important thing is not to stop questioning. Curiosity has its own reason for existing. One cannot help but be in awe when he contemplates the great mysteries of eternity, of life, of the marvelous structure of reality. It is enough if one tries merely to comprehend a little of this mystery every day. Never lose a holy curiosity. And today's story is once again from A Lamp in Every Corner, and it is called The Race to the Top of the Tree. So keep our 4th principle in mind while you listen along. Deep in a green shadowed forest, high on the spreading branches of the great oak trees, there lived a family of squirrels. It was a very large family with parents and grandparents, great-grandparents, with dozens of aunts and uncles and nieces and nephews and hundreds of cousins. There were big squirrels and little squirrels, squirrels with light gray fur, squirrels with silver gray fur, squirrels with dark gray fur, and some squirrels with a touch of brown fur on their shoulders and on their backs. They were each a little bit different, but all of the squirrels had bright, inquisitive eyes and plumes of feathery, fluffy tails that could be flicked this way and that way and from side to side. All of the squirrels, every single one of them, from the smallest to the largest, from the lightest gray to the darkest gray, loved to climb trees. They climbed up, they climbed down, they climbed up to the branches, to the very thinnest part where the branches would sway up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down, like a seesaw, only faster and higher and a lot scarier. But better than tree climbing, and even better than tree seesawing, was tree racing. Every day, sometimes 3 or 4 times a day, the squirrels would hold races to see who could climb fastest, who could climb farthest, and who could climb highest of all. But since they were squirrels and squirrels were always hungry, sometimes they would stop racing to eat a nut, completely forgetting they were in a race at all. But that was all right, since they always had fun, whether they were eating or racing or just lying around being squirrels. One morning on a brisk autumn day, when acorns were falling with a plop and a plat all over the forest, and leaves came wafting and wafting slowly down, 3 squirrels were having a discussion about the best way to get to the top of the tree. "Straight up the trunk," said the dark gray squirrel who was nibbling an acorn. "But the trunk doesn't go all the way to the top," said the light gray squirrel who was hanging upside down by her toes. "You have to go on the branches sometime." "But when?" said the 3rd squirrel who had a silver gray fur touched with brown. "In which branch?" She looked up to the leafy canopy above. "That one big one over there," said the dark gray squirrel. "No, the crooked one on that side," said the light gray squirrel. "The big one," said the dark gray squirrel again. "The crooked one," said the light gray squirrel, and they got to arguing with much chittering and cheeing and snipping of their teeth and snapping of their tails. "Ah, this is silly," the silver gray squirrel said finally, with a snap and a flick of her own fluffy tail. "Stop talking about it and do it. Have a race." Both the light gray and the dark gray squirrel liked that idea, and other squirrels liked it too. They gathered at the base of the great oak tree, dozens of them, for the great race to the top of the tree. Hundreds more came to watch. The racers waited for the start signal, ears perked, whiskers quivering, tails flicking just a little, and when the great-grandmother squirrel of the forest dropped an acorn and the acorn hit the ground, they were off. Squirrels going this way, squirrels going that way, squirrels everywhere. They leapt for the trunk and dug in there with their toes. Some, including of course the dark gray squirrel, raced straight to the top of the tree trunk. Some ran up it going around and around like climbing a corkscrew slide because that was more fun. Some squirrels didn't go up the trunk of the oak tree at all. Instead, they ran over to the big pine tree nearby and climbed up that, all the way to the top, and then made a daring leap across the open sky to reach the tip of an oak branch 15 feet away. There they clung, swaying up and down and up and down and up and down, until finally the branch stopped swaying and the squirrels could start climbing again. Now, the great oak of the forest is a very tall tree, and it is a very long climb to the top. Many of the squirrels, since they were squirrels and squirrels are always hungry, stopped to eat an acorn or two along the way. Some never made it to the top of the pine tree. They stopped there to nibble on pine cones. Some of the squirrels had so much fun going around and around the trunk of the oak tree, chasing each other, that they stopped worrying about the race at all. But the dark gray squirrel did go up the big branch, and the light gray squirrel did go up the crooked branch. They went higher and higher, and the branches got thinner and thinner, and the wind grew stronger and stronger, and the ground got farther and farther away. The sunshine grew brighter as they climbed above the leaves. Of all the squirrels, they were the only two who had reached the very top of the tree, and they reached it at just about the same time. "It's pretty up here," the dark gray squirrel said, holding on tight with all four paws as the very thin branches swayed to and fro in the very strong breeze. "Yes, it is," the light gray squirrel said, holding on tight too. "Ready to go down?" "Yes," said the dark gray squirrel. "Let's go get some acorns." So they did. And the silver gray squirrel, why, she didn't climb the tree at all. She stayed down on the ground the whole time. After all, she said to herself, watching the other squirrels scamper away, it doesn't really matter how far or how fast or which way you go, or even if you go up a completely different tree. There are lots of ways to get to the top of the tree, or to other parts of the tree, or to different trees altogether. In fact, she said, picking up an acorn between her front two paws, you don't even have to climb any tree at all, because there are plenty of good things right down here on the ground too. The end. So, like I said, I think that that's a great story depicting what it means to honor our fourth principle. And I think it's good to keep in mind when we're trying things different ways than others, that just because it's different doesn't mean it's wrong. Thanks. Have a great week, you all.